People say love should be exciting, unpredictable, full of fire, but I've always believed it's built on small things. The quiet dinners, the get-home safe texts, the mornings when you make coffee for someone before they even wake up. Lena used to say she loved that about me. "You're the calm in my chaos," she'd whisper, running her fingers through my hair. Back then, I thought that was the most romantic thing a woman could say. Tonight, though, she said almost nothing. "Long day?" I asked, setting her plate down. She nodded without looking up from her phone. Hem. I sat across from her, pretending not to notice the reflection of her screen flashing across her eyes. "You didn't even taste the pasta. It's good," she murmured automatically, thumbs tapping. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "You didn't even look at it." She sighed, setting her phone down for half a second. "Ethan, can we not do this?" "I'm tired." "It's tired," I repeated, stirring my fork through my untouched food. "Right." She pushed her chair back, standing. "I have to answer a few work messages, okay? Don't make it a thing." "I'm not," I said softly. "Just miss talking to you, that's all." "Ethan," she said, tone sharper now. "Not everything is about you needing reassurance." That one stung. She left the room before I could reply. The sound of her footsteps faded down the hall, leaving only the hum of the refrigerator and the faint buzz of my phone. Adrian. Still alive, lover boy? Me, barely. She's distant lately. Adrian, told you. Girls like her don't want steady, they want sparks. Me, she used to call my steadiness the reason she stayed. Adrian. Yeah, until it gets boring. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing. You're wrong. But I didn't send it. Because maybe he was. Later that night, Lena came to bed without saying goodnight. I pretended to be asleep as she slipped under the covers, her perfume faint but familiar. "Love you," I whispered quietly. She didn't answer. The silence pressed against me like a wall. I thought about the girl I met 3 years ago, the one who laughed so hard she cried during our first movie date, the one who'd stay up late talking about dreams she hadn't yet ruined with reality. Now, she just scrolled through her phone until she fell asleep. I reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She didn't move. I wanted to believe this was just a phase. Everyone drifts a little, right? Maybe work stressed her out. Maybe I was imagining things, but deep down, a voice whispered, "She's already halfway gone." The next day, Adrian met me for lunch. He leaned back in his chair, grinning. "Man, you look like someone stole your dog." "Just tired," I said, mirroring Lena's excuse. He smirked. "Nah, something's up." "Spill." I hesitated. "She's been ... different. Cold. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking." Adrian stabbed his fries. "Or maybe she's bored." "No offense, dude, but you're predictable." "Predictable's not a bad thing," I said, forcing a laugh. "Depends who you ask." He shrugged. "Some girls want a guy who keeps them guessing, or hurting," I muttered. He laughed. "Touché, but still, women like Lena... They chase excitement." She said she wanted peace. For a while, sure. Until peace feels like silence. I didn't answer. I just stared at my reflection in the cafe window. Tired eyes, polite smile. The kind of man who keeps his promises even when they're one-sided. That night, Lena came home late. She smelled like expensive perfume and someone else's laughter. I asked, my voice to even. She blinked. "Yeah, didn't sound like traffic." Her brows knit. "Are you accusing me of something?" "No," I said quietly. "Just trying to talk to the woman who used to talk to me." She rolled her eyes. "God, Ethan, you're exhausting sometimes." I swallowed hard. "I thought I was your calm." She froze for a second, then gave a weak smile that didn't touch her eyes. "You are just. Not tonight, okay?" She walked away, and I watched her silhouette vanish down the hallway again. The house felt too big, too quiet, too full of memories that used to mean something. I sat there until the clock hit midnight, till my chest felt too heavy to hold breath. Maybe love really wasn't about comfort. Maybe she wanted chaos. Maybe being boring was my biggest sin. Still, I whispered into the dark, "I love you."
this.
She said it not softly, not lovingly, but like an echo that didn't belong anymore. I know. I smiled bitterly into the silence. Somewhere between her voice and my breaking point, I realized the beginning of the end had already started. Asterisk dinner was supposed to be a celebration. I'd just landed a promotion, something I'd worked months for. A new office, better pay, a step toward the life Lena and I always talked about. But as I talked, she, SCROLLLED, and they said, "I'll be managing the campaign next quarter," I said. "Smiling, ma'am," she murmured, eyes fixed on her phone. "You didn't even look at me," I said, trying to keep my tone light. She sighed, locking the screen. "I heard you, Ethan. Congrats. Really, doesn't sound like it." She set her phone face down, tapping her nails against the table. "Can we not fight tonight?" "I wasn't fighting," I said quietly. "I was sharing something important." "Important to you," she corrected, her tone flat. My stomach sank. "What's that supposed to mean?" She leaned back, arms crossed. "It means you care too much about work, about plans, about routine." "Routine keeps life stable," I said. "Stable," she repeated, almost laughing. "Ethan, you make stability sound romantic? Not everyone wants to live like a calendar." I blinked. "A calendar." She exhaled sharply. "You're a good man, but you're boring." The word hit like a slap, soft but final. I froze, fingers gripping my napkin. "Boring." "I don't mean it to hurt," she said quickly. "It's just, I need something more. I want to feel alive." "Alive?" I asked. "Since when did I make you feel dead?" "Don't twist it." She looked down, fidgeting with her bracelet. "You're too predictable. Dinner, work, home. Same talks. Same weekends. I can't breathe anymore." I laughed once, low, bitter. "So, being loved makes you suffocate now?" Her lips parted, but no words came. She just looked away. I leaned back, voice steady, but shaking underneath. "Tell me something, Lena. Did you ever want me, or just the version of me that made your life easier?" She didn't answer. The silence between us said enough. After a moment, she reached for her purse. "I think we should take a break." "A break," I repeated. "Just for a while." "I need space." "Space," I echoed, nodding slowly. "From me. From boring." "Don't make it sound cruel," she said softly. "You'll always mean something to me." I smiled faintly. "Yeah, like an old book you never finished but can't throw away." She flinched but said nothing. The waiter came with our check. I placed my card down before she could reach for hers. "Let me pay," I said. "It's my last dinner as the boring guy." Her eyes softened for a second, as if she wanted to say something more, but she didn't. She just stood and left. I stayed until my glass was empty. The chair across from me felt heavier than ever. Later that night, my phone buzzed. "Adrian. Adrian, you at home?" "Me, yeah. Adrian. Hate to say this, man, but I saw Lena earlier." "Me. Where?" "Adrian. Downtown. She was with some guy. Flashy car, loud laugh. Said he's her client." "Me. Client." "Adrian. Sorry, bro. Just thought you should know." I stared at the message for a long time. My reflection on the phone screen stared back, tired, quiet. Humiliated client. That word sat in my chest like a stone. I set the phone down and walked to the mirror. The man staring back at me wasn't broken yet, just empty. "She wanted someone who makes her feel alive," I whispered. "Guess dead men don't stand a chance." My laugh came out dry. I loosened my tie and unbuttoned my collar. The room felt too still. Every memory of her laughter replayed like a cruel joke. The way she'd once said, "You're everything I never knew I needed." Now, I was everything she couldn't wait to leave. My reflection's eyes hardened. "Boring, huh?" I murmured. "Let's see how long that thrill lasts." The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Adrian. "Forget her. You deserve better," I typed back. "I don't want better. I want different." Then deleted it before sending. I looked back at the mirror one last time, the faint smirk beginning to form on my face. You wanted chaos, Lena, I said softly. Congratulations. You just started mine. The words echoed faintly in the quiet apartment. For the first time, anger didn't scare me. It steadied me. That night, I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't beg. I just sat there in the dark, my mind repeating her words until they no longer hurt, until they became a promise I intended to break. Too boring to love, I whispered to my reflection. You'll remember those words when boring learns how to shine. I wasn't expecting the knock. Not that late, not after everything. When I opened the door, Lena stood there, eyes red, hair messy, rain clinging to her jacket. Can I come in? She asked softly. I stepped aside. You already knew I'd say yes. She gave a weak smile, the kind people wear when they've run out of real ones. I didn't know where else to go. Zane's not answering? I said, voice steady but sharp, her head snapped up. You heard? I didn't have to. You left enough silence for the whole city to figure it out. She dropped her purse onto the couch. Ethan, please don't do this. I didn't come here to fight. Then why are you here, Lena? She looked down, twisting her ring. I don't know. I miss how simple things were with you. Simple? I repeated. You mean boring? It's not fair, she said, tears forming. I never meant to hurt you. Then what did you mean to do? She hesitated, lips trembling. It's not you. It's me. I almost laughed. Don't you dare say that line like it's poetry. You broke something, Lena. Just own it. Her voice cracked. I didn't plan this. I just felt stuck. I needed to breathe. I took a slow breath. You could have breathed with me, but you wanted lightning, not candlelight. She blinked, startled by my calmness. Why aren't you angry? I was, I said, until I realized I can't keep proving my worth to someone who confuses chaos for passion. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. You've changed. I nodded. You taught me how. For a moment, silence filled the room, heavy but freeing. The kind of silence that tells you everything's already over. She wiped her tears. So that's it? You're just letting me go? I already did, I said. You just showed up late to notice. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I thought you'd fight for me. I did, I said quietly. Every time I forgave you, every time I believed the excuses, that was my fight. This I gestured between us. This is my peace. She looked away, ashamed. You don't mean that. I do, I said. You wanted a storm, Lena. I can't be your thunder and your shelter. She picked up her purse with shaking hands. I don't know how to say goodbye. You already did, I said, my tone soft but firm. The night you stopped seeing me? Her tears fell then, silently. She walked to the door, paused, and whispered, I'm sorry. I nodded once. So am I. The door clicked shut behind her, no dramatic slam, no shouted words. Just finality. For a while I stood there, staring at the empty space where she'd stood. Then I walked to my dresser, pulled off the bracelet she'd given me, silver, small engraved with forever. I dropped it in the trash. It didn't even make a sound when it landed. The room felt lighter, quieter, like it had been waiting for me to catch up. An hour later, there was another knock. This time it was Adrian. Man, I heard. You okay? I shrugged. Define okay. He walked in, shaking his head. She doesn't deserve the way you looked at her. I know, I said. Then stop acting like you lost something irreplaceable. I smiled faintly. I didn't lose anything. I just learned what not to keep, he exhaled, impressed. That's cold. No, I said. It's clarity. Adrian sat on the couch beside me. So what now? I looked toward the window, city lights flickering in the distance. Now, I rebuild. Alone. For now, I said. I'm not broken, Adrian. I'm just unfinished. He nodded slowly. That's dangerous, man. Unfinished people become legends or disasters. I smirked. Guess we'll find out which one I become. He left a little after midnight. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat in the dark, listening to the quiet hum of the rain outside. For the first time, the silence didn't hurt, it felt honest. I leaned back, eyes on the ceiling, and whispered, "She wanted a storm." I paused, a small smile finding its way to my lips. "I'll become the thunder." Asterisk 6 months can change everything. The city lights here are different, brighter, maybe because I finally stopped living in shadows. I wake before sunrise now. The gym becomes my therapy. The weights don't lie, and neither does the mirror. Every drop of sweat feels like proof that I'm not who I used to be. At work, people notice. I don't talk much, but I don't need to. Results speak louder than reassurance. One afternoon, as I'm sketching ideas on a whiteboard, Myra leans over my desk. She's sharp, confident, too observant for comfort. "You look like someone who burned everything just to rebuild stronger," she says. I smile faintly. Guess I needed to see what ashes could teach me. She studies me for a moment. "Most people who fall apart stay broken. You turned it into discipline." "Falling apart was easy," I reply. "Staying there was harder." She grins. "You sound like one of those motivational podcasts." "Maybe I am," I say, minus the fake optimism. She laughs and walks off, but her words stay with me. Burned everything just to rebuild. She was right. I wasn't trying to prove myself to Lena anymore. I was proving something to me. By month 3, I'm leading pitches, landing clients who used to ignore my calls. My boss, Kellen, claps me on the back during a meeting. "Ethan, whatever changed and you keep it." Confidence sells. "Maybe confidence just comes from knowing who you're not anymore," I say. He chuckles. "Whatever it is, don't lose it." After work, I jog through the city streets, earphones in, neon lights reflecting off the pavement. The rhythm of my steps matches the beat of a life no longer stuck in replay. Still, some nights the quiet feels too loud. Memories sneak in uninvited, her laughter, her perfume. That last I know. They don't hurt anymore, but they linger like background noise from a song that used to mean something. One evening, while scrolling through my phone, I stumble upon her, Lena. The algorithm never forgets. She's tagged in a photo from a rooftop bar. New dress, same smile, except now it doesn't reach her eyes. There's a man beside her, not Zane, not anyone I know. She's laughing, but it looks forced. I stare at the picture for a moment longer than I should. Mira's voice echoes in my mind. "You look like someone who burned everything just to rebuild stronger," I whisper to myself. "And she looks like someone still standing in the fire." The realization doesn't hurt, it frees me. The next morning at work, Mira catches me zoning out. "You okay?" "Yeah," I say. "Just thinking." "Dangerous habit," she teases. "Thinking leads to feelings." I grin. "Not anymore. I retired from overthinking." "And congratulations," she says. "You're officially a modern adult." It makes me laugh. Really laugh, the kind that feels clean and unweeded. At lunch, Adrian calls after weeks of silence. "Dude, heard you're killing it," he says. "New job, new city. You sound different." "I am different," I say simply. He pauses. "You ever think about her?" "Sometimes," I admit, "but not like before." "Good," he says. "Because rumor has it, she and Zane are done." Guess the chaos didn't last. "I figured," I reply, a voice calm. "The world turns fast, doesn't it?" "Yeah, man," he says, chuckling. Guess she spun herself dizzy, and the call ends. I sit there in quiet satisfaction, not gloating. Not bitter, just ... balanced. That night, I open my laptop and work on a new campaign slogan. Rebuild, refocus. Rise, Myra passes my desk, reading over my shoulder. "That's strong," she says. "Sounds personal." "Maybe it is," I reply. She smiles knowingly. "Then it'll sell." After she leaves, I look out the office window at the skyline, towers of glass catching the last light of day. For the first time, I don't see memories when I look at the horizon. I see possibility. I close my laptop and whisper to my reflection in the window. "You did it." You became the man she couldn't imagine you'd be. I pause, smile faintly, and add, and the man who no longer cares if she does. It was past midnight when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hey, it's Lena. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a few seconds, the glow of the screen lighting my desk. For a moment, I waited for something: anger, nostalgia, anything. But there was nothing. Just silence inside me. I locked the phone and went back to my laptop. My project proposal deadline was tomorrow. A few minutes later. Another buzz, please. I just want to talk. I exhaled softly, rubbing my jaw. My fingers hovered over the reply button, but I didn't type a word. I'd already said everything worth saying months ago. Then came the third message. I miss you. I smiled, not out of joy, but irony. Funny how ghosts always remember the warmth after they've burned the house down. I put the phone face down and whispered, you miss the man who loved you, not the one who learned from you. Talking to yourself again? Myra's voice startled me. She was standing at my cubicle door, holding 2 paper cups. Just finishing up, I said, taking one from her. Couldn't sleep. She eyed the phone. You look like someone who got a text they didn't want. I laughed quietly. Old ghost trying to remember where the door used to be? Ah, she said, smirking. The famous ex-girlfriend kind. Exactly that kind? You going to reply? No, I shook my head. There's nothing left to say. Mira leaned on the desk. So you're finally free, huh? Free, I repeated. No, just done paying rent in someone else's memory? She smiled. That's poetic. I've been practicing, I said. She laughed, soft and genuine, then pushed away from the desk. You've got good energy tonight. Don't let a ghost drain it. I won't, I said, and meant it. When she left, I reopened my laptop and sank back into work. The numbers, the strategies, the creative flow, it all made sense in a way love never did. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was Adrian. Adrian. She texted you too, didn't she? Me, yeah. Adrian told you she would. Things aren't good for her, me, Zane. Adrian, gone. Took her money, left her with debt. She's been calling everyone, trying to make things right. I stared at the message for a long moment. Me. Karma always collects quietly. Adrian, you okay, man? Me, better than ever. A minute later, another message from him. Adrian. She asked if you'd talk to her. I told her not to count on it. I typed back slowly, me. You did right. Some chapters don't deserve sequels. He sent a laughing emoji. Adrian. Man, you're colder than I expected. I smiled faintly. Me. Not cold. Just healed. I placed my phone down and leaned back in my chair, eyes tracing the ceiling lights. The ache that used to live under my ribs had been replaced by something steadier peace. A few minutes later, Mira returned, holding a folder. Ethan, you're still here? Deadlines don't sleep, I said, grinning. She handed me the file. You're different these days. Quieter, but lighter. Like someone who finally stopped chasing noise. Maybe I did, I said. Noise can sound like love if you're not careful. She nodded slowly. That sounds like experience talking. Pain's a good teacher, I said. But peace. Peace is a better graduation. Mira smiled. You know, you should write that down. Maybe someday, I said. Right now, I just want to live it. She started to walk away, then paused. So, was it an old ghost? Yeah, I said with a small smirk. One that doesn't haunt me anymore. After she left, I reopened my project document. The cursor blinked on a clean white screen. I typed the first line of my proposal. Growth begins where comfort ends. Outside. Rain began to fall, soft and rhythmic, but inside I felt nothing but calm. I picked up my phone one last time. The unread message glowed faintly. I miss you. Without hesitation. I deleted it. And just like that, the ghost disappeared. Asterisk Mira? Never asked about my past? Not once. That's what I liked about her. She didn't dig for stories. She just sat beside them until they spoke for themselves. We started staying late at the office together, finishing campaigns long after everyone else had gone home. Some nights, the silence between us said more than words ever could. One evening, she placed a cup of coffee on my desk without looking up from her screen. "You take yours black, right?" I raised an eyebrow. "You've been watching my caffeine habits?" She smiled faintly. "You think I don't notice things?" "I figured you noticed everything," I said. "Not everything," she replied. "Just what's worth noticing." Her tone carried that same calm certainty that made people trust her, the kind I used to envy. Hours passed as we worked, the hum of computers and city sounds filling the gaps. Around midnight, she leaned back and said, "You ever realize peace has a sound?" I looked up. "What does it sound like?" She gestured around us. "This quiet keys, slow breathing, no drama. Just two people getting through life without tearing each other apart." I chuckled softly. "You make that sound revolutionary." "Maybe it is," she said. "Most people only chase chaos because they mistake it for passion." I froze for a second. Her words landed somewhere deep. She noticed my silence. "Did I say something wrong?" "No," I said. "You just reminded me of something I used to confuse too." Mira nodded knowingly, but didn't ask. That was her gift. She didn't force answers out of silence. Around 1, I stretched my arms and sighed. "You ever think peace gets boring?" She smiled. "Only to people who haven't earned it." "Peace looks good on you," she added after a pause. I laughed under my breath. "It took pain to earn it." Her eyes softened. "Then wear it proudly." I looked at her then. Really looked. Her hair was tied back, her eyes tired but steady. Her posture relaxed in a way that said she belonged nowhere else but this moment. "You don't talk much," she said. Sipping her coffee, "I used to," I admitted. "But words lost their meaning somewhere along the way." "Maybe you were saying them to the wrong person," she said gently. That hit harder than I expected. I smiled faintly. "You have a way of making heavy things sound simple. It's a talent," she said with a small grin. "Or maybe I'm just not afraid of silence." We sat there quietly, our reflections glowing faintly on the dark office window. The city lights blurred like distant stars. She broke the silence again. "You ever think about starting over?" "Every day," I said. "But I don't know if I want to start or just keep moving." She tilted her head. "Maybe you don't have to decide yet. Some things rebuild themselves when you stop holding the ruins." I turned to her. "You always talk like that?" "Only with people who listen," she said, smiling. Her voice was warm, steady, nothing like Lena's rehearsed sweetness. I caught myself studying her hand as she wrote notes on a pad, steady fingers, light movements, no performance in them, just presence. When she noticed me staring, she laughed softly. "What?" "Nothing," I said quickly. "You're just ... different." "Different how?" "Real," I said after a moment. "That's rare." She looked at me, then placed her hand on my arm. Light, certain, without hesitation. I didn't flinch. I didn't overthink it. I just felt it, the quiet comfort of someone who wasn't trying to fix me. "Just see me. Relax," she said, smiling. "Not everything means something." "Maybe that's what makes it mean something," I replied. She laughed softly, the sound echoing faintly in the empty room. "You're not ready for love, are you?" she asked suddenly. I exhaled slowly. "No, I'm not." "That's fine," she said, leaning back. "Then let it find you when you are." For the first time in years, that thought didn't scare me. It sounded possible. We packed up our things in silence. As we walked out, she turned to me and said, "You know, I like the version of you that doesn't chase ghosts." I smiled. "He likes you too." And under the soft glow of the hallway lights, I realized peace didn't come with fireworks. It came with quiet laughter, warm coffee, and a woman who saw me differently. It was a Friday afternoon when my secretary buzzed through. "Ethan, there's someone here asking to see you. Says it's urgent." I rubbed my temples. "Who?" A pause. "She said her name is Lena." For a second, the air seemed to still. Old ghosts, it seemed, had good timing. "Send her in," I said calmly. The door opened slowly. She stepped inside, a shadow of the woman I once knew. Her hair was messy, her clothes too fine for someone that tired. The fire she used to carry in her eyes had been replaced by something dull regret. "Hi," she said softly. I gestured toward the chair across from me. "Sit," she did, her hands trembling slightly. "You look different." I said. "It's been a while." "I didn't know where else to go," she murmured. Zane kicked you out?" I asked, voice even. Her eyes widened. "You heard?" "I didn't have to," I said. "You're here," she swallowed hard. "He used me, lied to me. Everything he said was fake. He took what he wanted and left. I kept thinking, if I just stayed with you, I cut her off. You'd still be unhappy, just with someone who wouldn't cheat back." She flinched. "I deserved that." I leaned back, studying her. "You didn't deserve him, but you earned the lesson." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ethan, please. I made a mistake. I was stupid. I thought excitement meant love. I thought you were too safe, too calm. I didn't realize how much peace mattered until I lost it." I didn't respond right away. Watching her crumble felt strange, not satisfying, not cruel. Just final. She wiped her tears. "You always listened. You always made me feel seen. I took that for granted. I know you probably hate me, but I can't stop thinking about you." "I don't hate you," I said quietly. "I outgrew you." Her lip trembled. "Can't you give me one more chance?" "Please, no," I said. "You don't miss me. You miss the version of yourself that felt stable when I was around. But that's not love. That's dependency." She shook her head. "I still love you." I smiled faintly. "You loved the attention, not the man. You had peace and called it boring. You had loyalty and called it dull. You ran toward chaos thinking it was passion, and now, when the fire burned you, you came looking for water." Her tears fell faster. "You're being cruel." "No," I said softly. "I'm being honest." She stood suddenly. "You really changed." "I had to," I said. "Pain demands evolution." For a moment, she just stared at me, searching for something: emotion, softness, anything that might prove I still cared. But all she found was calm. "You used to fight for me," she whispered. "I did," I said. "But now I fight for peace." Silence settled between us. Heavy, but not suffocating. I'd lived that silence before, the kind that once broke me. This time, it felt like closure. She took a shaky breath. "You don't mean that." "I know you still stop," I said quietly. "Don't make this harder than it already is."
Hi.
Her eyes glistened. "You can't just walk away like it's nothing." "I'm not walking away," I said. "I'm just not turning back." She looked at me like she wanted to argue, but the words never came. Instead, she whispered, "I ruined the only good thing I ever had." I stood, straightened my jacket, and said, "You didn't lose me, Lena. You just ran out of games." Her face crumpled. "Please, just tell me there's still something left." "There is," I said, pausing at the door. "Self-respect." I walked out of the office. My reflection in the glass door looked composed. No bitterness, no ache, just calm, resolve. Outside, Mira stood near the elevator, holding a stack of files. Her eyes met mine, searching. That was her, wasn't it? I nodded once. "How do you feel?" She asked. "Light," I said simply. Like I finally returned something that wasn't mine anymore. Myra smiled faintly. "You handled that better than most would. Experience," I said. "And maybe karma." She tilted her head. "Does karma always come back this clean?" "Not always," I said, pressing the elevator button. "But sometimes it doesn't need to knock twice." As the doors closed behind us, I glanced at her reflection beside mine. Calm, steady, present, and for the first time I realized peace wasn't boring. It was victory. Asterisk, the road to the coast was quiet. Long stretches of asphalt wrapped in silver morning fog. I didn't play any music. I just drove, letting the hum of the tires fill the spaces where memories used to hurt. By the time I reached the shore, the sky was soft gray and gold. The sea moved slow and steady, like it had all the time in the world. I stepped out, kicked off my shoes, and walked toward the waves. For a moment, I just stood there, breathing. The wind brushed against my face. The salt in the air tasted like the kind of peace I'd been chasing for years. I sat on a flat rock near the edge, phone in my hand but untouched. The water stretched endlessly ahead, alive, endless, forgiving, funny, I said quietly to no one. The world kept moving while I stayed stuck. A wave rolled over the sand, close enough to wet my feet. The chill grounded me. I whispered, "You made me," by breaking me. The sound of it vanished into the wind. No echo, no response, just calm acceptance. I let my thoughts drift. The laughter, the fights, the quiet dinners that turned into silence. Lena's voice sharp and soft all at once. The moment she called me boring, the moment she begged to come back, every image rose and faded like foam dissolving at my feet. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't need to. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Myra. For a second I hesitated. Then I hit call. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, Ethan, you okay?" "Yeah," I said, watching a gold dip low over the water. "I took a day off. Needed air." "Good," she said. "You've been burning through yourself again." "I'm by the coast," I said. "Haven't been here in years." "I can hear the wind," she said softly. "You sound different." "Different how?" "Lighter." I smiled faintly. Maybe I finally put down what wasn't mine to carry. "Lena?" she asked carefully. "Her too," I said. "But mostly the version of me that needed her." There was silence on the other end, the kind that doesn't demand to be filled. "I wanted to thank you," I said quietly. "For what?" "For staying," I said. "Even when I didn't ask you to. You could have walked away from my mess." "I don't stay for perfection," she said. "I stay for honesty." Her voice carried warmth, steady, grounding. "You've got a way of making things sound simple." I said they usually are, she replied. "People just complicate them when they're scared to heal. Guess I've been scared for a long time. Not anymore," she said gently. I watched the horizon, the sky meeting the sea like two old friends. "You're right, usually am," she teased. That made me laugh. A small, genuine sound that felt like breathing after holding it too long. "Mira," I said softly, "you ever feel like life gives you the same test twice?" "Only until you learn the answer," she said. "And what if the answer changes?" "Then maybe it was never a test," she replied. "Maybe it was just a mirror." I looked down at the water. It shimmered with light, blue, gold, endless. "Yeah," I whispered. "A mirror sounds right." She paused. "You sound at peace." "I think I am," I said. "For the first time, I'm glad," she said. "You deserve it. Thanks, Mira." "That's what people do," she said softly. "When they care." Her words lingered in my chest long after the call ended. I stayed there for hours, watching the tide rise and fall. Listening to the rhythm of something greater than regret. When the sun finally broke through the clouds, it painted everything in gold. The sea, the sand, even the worn lines of my hands. For the first time, I didn't feel broken or rebuilding. I just felt whole. I stood, brushed off the sand, and whispered to the waves, "You can stop testing me now. I've learned." And as I turned to leave, the wind carried back a sound. Not words, not voices, just calm. The kind that feels like forgiveness. The email arrived just after noon. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I stared at it for a minute before opening it. "Ethan," it began. "I don't expect you to read this, but I needed to say it. I'm leaving the city. I can't fix what I broke, but I hope someday you'll forgive me." She went on about regret, about lessons, about how life had humbled her. It was long, maybe sincere, maybe not, but every line sounded like someone trying to rebuild a bridge that had already turned to dust. When I finished reading, I didn't feel anger or sadness, just quiet understanding. I typed my reply slowly. I already did. Then I hovered over send. After a moment, I deleted the whole thread instead. Forgiveness didn't need delivery, just release that evening. I met Mira for dinner. She picked the place a small bistro, with low lights and soft jazz. The kind of place where the world feels gentle again. She was already there, waving when I walked in. "You're late," she said, smiling. "Traffic," I replied, taking a seat. "Or maybe I just move slower now that I'm peaceful." "Peaceful?" she teased. That's a big word for a guy who used to type like he was fighting the keyboard. I chuckled. Maybe I retired from chaos? "Retired?" she said, raising an eyebrow. "You're too young to retire. You just traded storms for sunsets." "Exactly," I said. "Sunsets don't demand apologies." She smiled at that, leaning forward. "Something happened today, didn't it?" I hesitated, then said, "She emailed me." "Lena?" "Yeah. What did she say?" "Everything she should have said back then," I said. "But time has a funny way of making the right words arrive too late." Mira studied my face. "And how did you feel?" "Calm," I said. "No rush of anything. Just peace." I didn't even reply. She tilted her head. "Didn't reply, or didn't need to?" "Didn't need to," I said. "Forgiveness isn't about giving someone closure. It's about giving yourself permission to stop bleeding." She smiled softly. "That's a good line. Write it down then," I said. "You like collecting them?" She laughed. "You really have changed." I shrugged. "Guess heartbreak's a good teacher." "Usually is," she said. "Just a brutal one." The waiter came, took our orders, left us in the comfortable quiet that only happens when words aren't necessary. After a while, she asked, "Do you ever miss her?" I thought about it. Not the person, but the feeling. The way love once felt like proof of being alive. Sometimes I admitted, but not the way I used to. I miss the idea of her, not the reality. "And what's the difference?" "The idea was kind," I said. "The reality was chaos dressed as romance." Mira nodded. "We all fall for illusions at least once," I said. "Some of us just build homes in them." She smiled faintly. "And now?" "Now, I build elsewhere," I said. "In quieter places, like this." She raised her glass. "Two quiet places." I clinked mine against hers. And two, not needing noise. We drank. And I realized how light my chest felt. Like I'd been carrying invisible weight for so long, I forgot how easy breathing was supposed to be. "You seem lighter," Mira said, watching me closely. "I am," I said. "Because I stopped carrying ghosts." She smiled. "And because you learned when to stop looking back." "Maybe," I said. "But mostly because I learned that not every goodbye needs sadness." She nodded. "Some are beginnings disguised as endings." "Exactly." The food arrived. Nothing fancy. Just comfort in edible form. As we ate, our conversation drifted between work, random jokes, and everything that didn't hurt. I noticed the way she laughed. Soft. Real. Without trying to be perfect, there was no rush, no need to fill the spaces between words. I'd once thought love was about grand gestures and endless intensity. Now I realized it might just be about ease, about breathing next to someone who doesn't make the air heavy after dinner. We stepped outside. The night air was cool, city lights reflecting faintly off puddles from a brief rain. Mira tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said, "You're thinking again." "Always," I said. "Good thoughts, at least." "Peaceful ones," I said. "Then keep them." We said goodbye with a hug. Simple, human, honest. No sparks, no declarations. Just warmth. As I walked to my car, I looked up at the sky. The stars were faint, but they were there, steady, distant. "Enough," I smiled and whispered. "Not every goodbye is sad." And this time, I knew it was true. Asterisk, the ballroom shimmered with light, crystal chandeliers, gold accents, the hum of money and ambition. It had been a year since everything changed. And tonight was the kind of night that once felt impossible. My firm's logo glowed behind the stage. I adjusted my tie, nodding at the host as he announced, "Please welcome our keynote speaker, Ethan Cole." Bro, rejibes. Gertrams. I walked onto the stage, the sound of clapping echoing like waves, not noise, not pressure, just presence. I gripped the microphone. Good evening, I began, voice steady. When I started this firm, I believed success was about being louder than the crowd. Turns out it's about listening to failure, to growth, to yourself. A few smiles, a few nods. I caught Mira's gaze near the front row, calm, confident. The quiet kind of support that never needed to announce itself. When you stop chasing approval, I continued, you start attracting respect. Applause again. Short, sincere. I ended with a simple line, we rise not to prove them wrong, but to prove ourselves right. Yes. Shaking hands and accepting congratulations, something in the crowd caught my eye. A familiar face, Lena. She stood near the corner of the room. Wearing a navy dress, elegant but understated. Her hair was shorter now. The spark that once drew every gaze in the room had dimmed into something quieter. Her eyes met mine, and for a brief moment time folded. I walked over slowly. She didn't move, didn't smile, just watched. When I stopped in front of her, she exhaled softly. You've changed, smiled politely. No, I said. I just stopped shrinking to fit small places. She looked down. You always did talk like that. Calm, collected. I used to think it was boring. I know, I said lightly. You told me. She laughed once, short, nervous. I was wrong. I know that too. Her eyes softened. You don't even sound angry. Anger's heavy, I said. I learned to travel light, Ethan. She started, her voice trembling. I thought success would fix me. It didn't. I thought leaving you would make me feel alive. It didn't either. I nodded slightly. Sometimes we have to lose something steady to realize what chaos really costs. She swallowed hard. I see you now who you are. And I hate that I wasn't patient enough to see it back then. I met her gaze, steady and kind. You weren't supposed to. We were both just mirrors, showing each other what needed to break. Tears welled in her eyes. You always talk like everything makes sense. It does, I said. Eventually, she hesitated, searching my face for something anger, forgiveness, longing. All she found was calm. Can we ever? She began. No, I said gently. We can't. She nodded, biting her lip. You really don't feel anything anymore, do you? I smiled. I feel peace. That's more than enough. Silence hung between us. Not cruel, just final. I'm proud of you. She whispered. You should be proud of yourself, I said. You taught me who not to be. I broke her a little. I could tell not because it was cruel, but because it was true. Goodbye. Ethan, goodbye, Lena. She turned and walked away. Disappearing into the crowd, I didn't watch her leave. Some stories don't need epilogues, Ethan. Mira called from the side of the stage. Come on, they want a photo with the partners. I walked toward her. She smiled as I joined her under the bright lights. You did well tonight. So did you, I said. Couldn't have done it without you. You could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. As the photographer raised his camera, she leaned closer. You're okay? More than okay, I said, straightening my jacket. I think I'm finally done. Done, she teased. With what? Needing closure? I said. Turns out, I became it. The camera flash went off, white light bursting across the room. For a moment, I looked out at the crowd, at the laughter, the clinking glasses, the easy rhythm of a life rebuilt. A year ago, I was the man asking why. Now, I was the man who didn't need an answer as the applause started again. Mira glanced at me and said, You're smiling. That one looks real. It is, I said, and for the first time, my smile wasn't for revenge. It was for peace.